Hey bestie, and welcome back to the newest episode of the podcast. We have been away for a week while I was grieving. We suffered another loss. Princess finally passed from her cancer, so I took a week off. But y'all did not take a week off from sending me crazy stories. Some plob stories in my DMs. If you're unaware, I've had two people for the last week running my account, and one of y'all traumatized them, but I can't be mad because they were reading my messages and were like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, yeah, these plob stories, these GameStop stories are crazy. I think because on TikTok I shorten them, I shorten them because of guidelines. I don't read all of the details off, or I shorten it, summarize it. And so for them to see all of the details of some of the things people send me in DMs, these story times are like, oh my god, yeah, dude, yeah, it's bad. There's even photos and stuff. If you've seen one of the earlier episodes of the Plobcast, if you're one of the earlier episodes, there was one where I played you guys the audio of where that GameStop worker had caught another GameStop worker in the employee bathroom jerking off, and you can hear the interaction. That was something I could not show on TikTok, but was sent in, that's the kind of stuff that gets sent to me of these crazy plobs. And so while the two creators who were running my account, I would post drafts and they would run everything else, they were aware of my GameStop stories, obviously, but they were not prepared for the level of insanity that was my DMs. I also had to reel them back in, because if you haven't seen, Lily Tino Defenders were going strong. Anything to try to discredit it. They were pretending like the video with the screenshots wasn't there. And then when I would tag them in it, they would block me. And I'm like, oh, so you really? Not a shocker there. And then, of course, one of the Terror Twins besties made a video using manipulation and stuff, goes in, edits the audio, even says it on camera that he's going to edit the audio, and then tries to make it sound like me to cover up for Lily, and just all this crap, right? And as I said in that interview, I really don't give a shit. The second I found out that man was for somebody messaged me and was like, oh, he's friends with this person, twin flame, one of the Terror Twins, Split Die, who is well known for their entire page is just bullying and lying and making up stuff about people while culturally appropriating, and also being a huge hypocrite because they own some little girl hentai figures, but they're like, oh, it's fine because I'm a woman, it's okay for me to have these pedophile anime figures, but it then will criticize men who have them, and it's like, dude, pick a fucking struggle. It's just as bad even though you're a woman. It doesn't matter. You still own a pedophile fucking hentai figure because that's a fucking child. These controversial, they have a long controversial history, but the second I found out they were friends with they found out the guy that was doing this bullshit was friends with them, I was like, oh, I know exactly. I wasn't surprised either, because if you don't know the psychology behind voice manipulation and tricking your brain, so sound manipulation, it's not just something you do on the computer. You could actually do it with somebody's brain. So if you have ever been on set, most people remember the Yanny sound, where people were saying, oh, it says Laurel, oh, it says Yanny, and they're both listening to the same sound. But if you go on TikTok, you'll see videos, or on YouTube, this has been around for a while, you'll see these videos where it'll have 5 different sentences in it, and it'll say, which do you hear? And depending on which sentence you're reading at the time, you hear whatever it says, whatever the sentence is. Even though you're listening to the exact same audio 5 different times, depending on which sentence you read, depends on what you end up hearing out of that exact same audio. You'll hear all 5 different sentences. You just need to read them as you watch. Now, there is a lot of psychology behind this. There's a lot of studies. This would be way too long if I went all the in-depth on the studies on this. But in those studies, there's also where you can manipulate somebody into hearing something that they're not. And that is where you will basically slide in. You're going to slide in. I don't want to give too many details because, Lord, I don't want some crazy person out there using this. But you slide in the suggestiveness. It's the idea of suggestive, where you're throughout your well, I guess just to straight up use his example, Danky, multiple times throughout the video, before he shows this manipulated audio, he repeatedly says, oh, I bet it's ribbon. Oh, I bet this. Oh, I wouldn't be shocked if it was this. And he just repeats that and slides it in through that the entire conversation. So you're thinking about that now. You've got this in your head. You're like, okay, I've heard him say this 5 or 6 times. Even if it's on a subconscious level, you've now heard him say this multiple times before he shows you his edited audio, and then he plays it. This is a very common type of manipulation, considering the person he's friends with is the one who, if you don't know the Terror Twins, one of them used to copy all of my content. would remake it, and then was also just a complete fucking cunt to like constantly bullying anybody, which wasn't surprised because they're also friends with two of the biggest bullies on the app that go out and make spare accounts just to bully other people that aren't traditionally attractive or aren't as talented or whatever. They're really bad about that. But that person is married to somebody with their doctorate in psychology, and there was a point where people started to notice that they were using like manipulation techniques and stuff on their own followers to push whatever BS that they were doing and bully other people and try to play victim and stuff. And there was a point where I guess they got rage baited because they were being pushed. People were like, dude, we know you're fucking manipulated. And then they decided, okay, to respond to the people accusing them of manipulating people with psych theories, they literally had their partner come on and brag about it on camera, bragging about all their education and psych. They all make fun of their own followers for believing them, mocking them. This is all on video on TikTok, by the way, if you've not seen that playlist with them on video doing this shit and admitting to this shit and stuff, like, bro. But that's why whenever he started doing this during the video, I was like, yeah, something's odd. The fact that you can't mention it, I was like, you are definitely about to you're using psych theories and different manipulation techniques. So whenever I found out that he was friends with Split Dye, I was like, big shocker. Birds of a feather flock together. It's like having fucking diarrhea, okay? They all squirt into the same bowl of shit. But I will not be wasting this podcast. I don't know why I said session. God, my brain's gone. I will not be wasting. Sorry, my day job is in mental health research, if you don't know. So my brain, like, when I start talking about stuff like that, my brain glitches out. But I will not be wasting the rest of my podcast talking about that. We are going to get into some of these insane GameStop stories and some of the ways y'all traumatized. Traumatized my friends. I guess what happened is I had announced the princess's passing and how I would have a couple other people running my account. There are 2 other creators. And I put it in my bio, but other people were not seeing that. There was some that did, but not everybody saw that. And I do have almost 1,000 mutuals, and I also have followers that send me stuff too. And these, my poor friends. Now, one of them is a very large creator who, she has a manager because she's got way too many followers to be able to like do anything, right? With comments and everything. And so she was seeing this stuff. She's not used to opening up her own DMs, and she was opening up mine and being like, holy shit. But that also, I feel bad because, it is kind of funny, the like traumatization of seeing the GameStop and plob stories. But what was really sad is she saw like the death threats and stuff I was getting from the Latino fans and Dankeys fans who was defending the Latino, even says it on video, which I don't know what level of fucking Delulu his followers are. Because I made a whole video of him on camera on his own page contradicting himself like 50 times. Just, admitting, just can't make up his mind. And people were like jumping through hoops to defend him. There were so many fucking minors is the scary part. Like, I took screenshots. Majority of people who were sending these messages were children. Were literal children. I'm like, it's a bad sign when your whole fan base is fucking seems to be children and you make adult content. I mean, not like adult isn't spicy, but, adult themed stuff. You're defending Lily Tino and shit. But they saw that and they were like, oh my God, I didn't realize people were this fucking horrible. And I'm like, yeah, they are. I had to like tell them, hey, just block people. Do not. Now they were like blocking people, but then they were going to their account and blocking people, which luckily nobody figured out who they were. I think some people did like start to realize who it was running my account because they were getting upset that they were like, oh, there was one person who posted, they were like, I don't know what I did, but I got blocked by this big creator. And it's like, yeah, because they were running my page and saw your bullshit. They saw what kind of person you were. I had one other person also who's a smaller, they're not massive, that was running it. And Lord, I kept having to be like, please don't get my fucking account banned because the way they were responding, because they wouldn't respond to minors going off on them, but like the adults that were running their mouth. There was a point where like an adult had sent a nasty message and say that like my dog deserved to die and like they hoped that I died or whatever. And I just ignore it because I'm like, you got a fucking no profile ass. You don't even stand on fucking business. You can't even make a threat with your fucking face out. So I'm really not too concerned about how worthless you are, whatever your fucking pathetic life is. I'm just going to block. I'm not going to risk the account thing, like getting an account warning. And of course, she, on the other hand, was like, nah, I'm going to tell you. I'm like, calm down, let's calm down. Just block them. Please don't, like, remember you're on my account, please. Speaking of, oh my God, girl. I had to cancel a sample, and I'm really hoping that it does not show up, because if you don't know, I use my samples to get like stuff for the domestic violence shelter and whatnot, like especially if there's like furniture or something. I rush to do the free sample. My friend forgot that she was on my account, and she saw this cute lingerie, this bunny lingerie, and saw that it had a free sample and fucking requested it. And then later she's like, oh, I was checking my free samples on my account and I can't find it. So I went and looked and I realized I accidentally requested on your account. And I'm like, girl, you know, if I said that I want to cancel it, I'm hoping that it does cancel, because if not, I'm fucked. Because if you request a free sample and then it shows up, you have to make a video. That's like in the guidelines. Which means if this fucking bunny suit shows up, I'm going to have to fucking go on TikTok in a bunny suit lingerie and be like, here's the video. Girl, please. Why did you do this to me? She makes spicier content. Now, she doesn't do like OF or anything like that, but she, like, her videos are typically thirst traps. So it's normal for her to do that. But, and like, yes, I've got spicier content on other things, but like, because I do, you know, Dommy work and stuff, but not on TikTok. What do you mean you've requested a lingerie sample? Like, I've hit the cancellation. I reached out to the company, but fingers crossed for me, y'all, because I don't know what I'm going to do if this fucking set shows up, because I can't be... Lord, I don't want to have to make a video for TikTok in this set. Like, I looked at the picture of this money set and her whole ass is out. I cannot be going on TikTok with my whole ass out. So this is your reminder, if you ever take over a friend's account and try to help them, you know, with their accounts, make sure that you're not on their account when you request free TikTok samples, please. Like, I understand that my amazing followers traumatized you by sending you plob stuff, but you didn't have to traumatize me by requesting that sample. Let's move on to the plob stories that were sent to me that traumatized these people. So the very first story that traumatized one of my creator friends, the one that made her stop and call me, because she had been like just, you know, messaging people back and was like, hey, yeah, Ruben, I'll get to it, blah, blah, blah. But the one that made her full stop and call me on the phone, which I hate, I hate random calls. There's nothing against her. I just always feel like awkward getting a random call. But she stopped, not text, called, was like, bitch, I just saw a story come in your DMs, and I had to pause what I was doing to call you about it. So the story that traumatized her, just a heads up, you might not want to eat while listening to this, it does have to do with roaches and bodily fluids. So the story that was sent in was from a woman who had went on a date. She was really into gaming, and she had met this guy at the gaming store. Like, they, not GameStop, but one of the smaller local game stores. They sold like a lot of retro stuff. You know, a lot of people have them somewhere near them or somewhere in town. I love going to stores like this, not because of the people, but because I collect systems. If you don't know, I have everything from the original Nintendo all the way up to the PS5. I do not have the Switch 2. I think the Switch 2 is a waste of money, to be honest. But anyways, it's that kind of store that has like all the old retro games that they're reselling, or they'll have like used games from newer systems. And she said the guy seemed really nice, always sweet. He helped her a lot because she was wanting to get into more retro games. She hadn't played. She plays on the PC, and she tells me, she puts in her whole story, like her whole backstory of, you know, how she got back into gaming and everything. But the part that traumatized my friend was the date she went on this guy. She said, like, he seems super cool. Like I said, she had conversations with him at the store. They would talk about retro gaming. He never came off weird at all. Now, she goes on a first date with him, and it goes well. It's completely normal. They go to this local arcade. She said it's similar to Dave & Buster's, but it's like a family-owned one that's in her area. They go to this local arcade. Everything seems normal. He seems like he bathes and everything. But she said so she drove herself, just for context. She drove herself and parked next to him. She said she did get like a smell of something whenever he opened up his car door, but she didn't recognize what it, like, he didn't smell bad. So she thought, oh, maybe like there's something in the car, or maybe he got nervous and had gas in the car or something, like was trying to cover it up before he came in, right? Gas is in farts, to be clear, not like gasoline. But she didn't pay it any mind. She's like, okay, he doesn't smell bad, so, you know, maybe something like that. They go on their date, they go on the arcade, everything seems fine. She said he did seem like a little particular, is how she described it, with certain games, with like wanting to show her and wanting her to do it exactly how he did it. So, but she would be like, oh, hey, so I want to do it my way, and he would back off. So she's thinking, okay, she said he was new to dating. He did disclose that was the first girl he'd been out with in years. For context, this man is like 27 and she's like 22 at the time of this happening. She said this happened a couple years ago. But other than him being a little particular, she didn't have there's no other red flags, and also the smell. But she said she also didn't look into his car whenever this date happened, which is important for later. So they do this little awkward goodbye kiss. She said he was really weird about it. Like he was trying to like French kiss immediately. Don't know, somehow, because apparently a lot of people don't know what French kissing is. Shoving your tongue down each other's throat, you know? She was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then they go about the rest of their day. You know, they leave the date. She leaves. He doesn't immediately text or start getting clingy or anything, so she's not seeing any red flags. He does text that night, which is just your reminder that that's like social etiquette if you're confused. For those, just a little bit of dating advice. Unless you're saying, oh, I got home safe or something like that. If you're just like immediately texting when they leave, typically that can scare people off. That can be a red flag. And it's not always a red flag, but it can be. So just a little help for the guys out there. But it's also a red flag if you wait 2 days. Like that 1950 shit, no. But she gets a text later that night. He's like, I had a great date. Everything's going fine. She's not thinking of it. And she's like, he asks her out on a second date. And she's like, oh, great. She agrees to go to the second date. There is this miniature Comic Con going on in their town. So that they decide they're going to go that day. He's like, hey, because of where I work out, I get free. They gave us free passes because, you know, their shop was going to be a vendor there. And it's just a tiny little local Comic-Con. Let's meet there. Well, day of comes and he is like texting her. He's like, I'm so sorry. I still want to go with you, but I can't find this piece to my cosplay, because he apparently had this whole Star Wars cosplay that he wanted to do and he couldn't find. He had like armor and stuff because he wanted to be a stormtrooper. If you don't know Star Wars, they wear like a big bulky, you can just Google it, a stormtrooper. But there's a lot of pieces and cosplays like that, because realistically in the real world you have to put it in pieces so you don't, pee in your suit or something, because if you put it all in one piece, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to get out of. So she, trying to be nice, was like, oh, I'll come over and help you. Like, let me come over to your house. I'll help you look, and then we can leave from your house together to go to this Comic-Con. And he's like, oh, yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. He texts her, and he says, just a warning, I haven't had time to clean in the last few days. And she's thinking, oh, no big deal. It's probably just going to be like a little mess or something. He smells good. He doesn't seem like a messy person. She's not expecting what she walks into. She shows up at his house. She says, it is this tiny little house that he's inherited from his mom. I'm trying to think of the name of the aesthetic, because she did send me some like Google pictures for a reference of like what she was describing it looked like. She said an old-timey farm look. Now, I would not say this is a farm look as somebody who spent summers on the farm, but if you've ever seen the the blue and white print, that was back real popular in like the 70s and 80s, it was a blue and white print. You would see like little porcelain ducks and bowls and everything of that. Google says it's a blue vintage Dutch pattern, I believe. Looking at a few different pictures, but a lot of us know what that is. It's the blue and white print. It was on China and stuff like that too. During prom season, I actually saw like some TikTok transition videos. It was really weird because they were wearing like, there's this blue and white dress. It was like a popular prom dress this year, which was crazy because it's like such an old print. People were making entire dresses out of it. Not the point. The point is she arrives, she goes up onto their like sunroom, the sunroom porch where it's like a half wall. I've had one before in my old house. But it was on the front porch. She walks in and there is just a horde of shit in this print up front, right? Like the whole porch, except for the walkway, is filled with random shit with this print. She said she felt like she had walked into the back rooms because she's like, who the fuck owns all of this? Like, it's so weird because it wasn't just like, oh, decor. It was just everything. She was seeing plates and bowls and cups and like everything in this print. Like somebody had taken all of the stuff out of the house and just put it onto the porch. She knew that he had inherited this house and he had told her on their first date, like, that he had kept some of the stuff, but he was still trying to get rid of it or whatever. So she just assumes, okay, this has got to be like his mom's stuff, right? So she knocks on the door thinking, oh, he must have pulled it all out to donate or whatever. She is convincing herself in her mind that it's not weird. She admits that she probably should have just ran the second she saw this, but she was convincing herself in her mind, hey, this isn't that weird. It's got it, like, it must be his dead mom stuff. Probably just pulling it out to, like, sell or somebody donate or whatever. But then she goes into the house. He pulls her in. She said the walkway wasn't that bad, but she's immediately hit with a fucking smell. Now she's trying to figure out, what the fuck do I do? What did I just sign up for? Because as they get down the hall, like I said, the hall seemed normal. It turns into, it's one of those houses that, like, the little houses where you walk in and it's just immediately a hallway and then you have to turn right or left to whatever room. She walks over to where he's leading her to, and immediately everything is a horde. And she is really awkward about it. And he's like, yeah, I haven't got to clean up in a couple of days. And she's looking around. She's like, yeah, this house hasn't been cleaned in months, very clearly. Like, there is things smeared on the wall that she doesn't even want to know what it is. She's trying to make conversation. So she was like, oh, that's some really nice, like, antique stuff out front. And he's like, oh, yeah, like, when my mom passed, I pushed everything outside because I didn't want to get her. That way I can sell it over time and everything. I just put it all on the porch. And it makes her realize, because at first she's thinking, well, maybe it's, like, leftover stuff from his mom passing that's still in the house. Maybe the mom was the hoarder and he just hasn't cleaned it yet or something. No, it was all his stuff. He straight up said that he put everything of his mom's that he kept all out on the porch, and he was still deciding what he's going to keep and stuff, which means all that hoarded blue and white shit is on the porch that's the mom's, and everything in the house is his. And she is looking around fucking in shock, because she said it was piled up almost to the ceiling in some spots with so much random junk. Like, there was a lot of food wrappers, bags and bags and bags. She said he had a shit ton of Wendy's bags. She said she estimated there was probably at least 300 something Wendy's bags alone, just the Wendy's bags, not the rest of the stuff that's he hoarded too. And the reason I went into great detail, she went into great detail, but I really want you to think about that. So his mom had apparently passed 7 months prior. He said he moved back into the house about a month after. So that means over the span of 6 months, he has managed to hoard an entire house up to the ceiling in multiple rooms. She said it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Because once again, according to him, all of the stuff that was left over from his mom was put on the porch, was that hoard on the porch. Which means in the matter of 6 months, he has managed to destroy this house with this hoard. She said there was all kinds of stuff wiped on the walls. She is panicking now. She's like, well, no wonder he couldn't find a piece for a stormtrooper costume. So she is visibly uncomfortable. And he's like, so she's just trying to hurry up and get out of there at that point. She's like, oh yeah, I'll help you look. And she starts looking around trying to find this piece. And she comes across a blood stain on the carpet, like a big blood, and it's got some other goop in it. And she like screams. He comes over and she's looking horrified. She's like, oh my, and she thinks she's about to get murdered. And he's like, oh no, it's just where I had to smash this rat the other day. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I keep having rats come into the house. Then I just had to smash one because it was running. I haven't been able to catch them with any traps. It's like, yeah, no wonder, because she didn't say this, but like when she's telling me this is what I'm thinking. She said this is similar to what she was thinking is, yeah, because there's fucking places for them to hide and stuff. It's going to be hard to get rid of them. But apparently he had decided the reaction to finally having the mouse come out of where it was hiding from was to curb stomp it into his carpet. And he talks about, yeah, I pulled the bulk out of it, but I didn't know how to get that out of the floor. She is clearly fucking traumatized. He's like, oh, I promise he even says, dude, the way I would have ran when he said this. She said he looked right over her and joked about it and was like, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm not like a murderer or anything. I'm not going to kill you. I would just kill rats. Girl, fucking run. The entire time I was reading this, I was like screaming at the screen, being like, run. She, in a daze, is just like kind of standing there, like panicking, not really wanting to help him look for the stormtrooper stuff anymore. And so he's like, oh, I understand if you're scared. I know girls get squeamish. She kept saying like he knows girls get squeamish. And sir, that gender has nothing to do with this shit. Okay, you curb stomp a fucking rat into your floor and you're trying to act like it's a normal fucking interaction. So he's like, oh, can you just go look for the passes, the passes for this convention while I get this? And she's like, oh, sure. And he's like, yeah, I kept them in one of my gaming cases to keep it safe, but I don't remember which one. And he points over to this like super disorganized pile of games. And she's like, okay. She's thinking, oh, well, at least, this should be safe. At least I'm not going to find like a dead rat in these gaming cases. They're too small for something like that. She starts opening up and looking through them, and she's noticing there's roach droppings like on the games and stuff. She also seen a few roaches while she was looking through. But that is not the worst part. She's looking through all of them. She's trying to find these passes. She's just very carefully like trying to open them so she doesn't touch too much of the roach shit and the dead cockroaches and everything she's finding in them, until she comes across one fucking one game case. This is your last chance to stop eating before I tell you what she found in it. She opens it up, and there, laying in the game case, is a giant pile of fucking cum. I'm not fucking kidding you. She said she opened it up, and there was cum, and there was also like 3 different dead roaches that I guess had crawled in there. She says she doesn't know if he jerked off onto them or they crawled in after he jerked off and just died in his fucking cum pool in this game case. She screams, drops it as soon as she realizes what it is, and it's like freaking out. And he runs over and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. You know, I didn't mean for you to see that one. You know, the other day I ran out of tissues and I didn't want to mess it up on the floor. First of all, sir, I just had some side commentary to that shit. What do you mean you didn't want to mess up the floor? You're living in a fucking hoarder house. You curb stomped a fucking rat on the carpet. But you came in a game case. You jerked off into a game case because you didn't have any tissues and you didn't want to mess up the floor. The dead rat isn't the messed up floor? Like, what the fuck? So what logic is this? She is freaking out, obviously. Oh, but wait, there's more. Wait till you find out what the name of the game was. It was Nick Jr. Party Adventures. At least that's what we believe it was, because she described the cover and I googled it and tried to find it. She said there was Dora on the front and Chase from Paw Patrol, and that's the only game I could find that had Dora and Chase from Paw Patrol on it. So yeah, that's the Nick Jr. game. It's the only game that has that on there that I could find. I might be wrong. I'll admit, we do not know for sure. She just said that she saw that, you know, Chase from Paw Patrol and Dora the Explorer were on it. Sir, why the fuck do you even own that? Why do you own that in the first place? Why do you own a game like that? Because yes, you know, games are for everybody. Things like Minecraft and stuff, anybody can play. I hate when people say like, oh, Minecraft's only for kids or stuff like that. But a Nick game, a Nick Jr. game, no, that is actually for kids. Like SpongeBob's for everybody. Nick Jr. is not for everybody. That's for children. Why were you jerking off into that particular case? That creeps me out. Also, I just reread what she said. What she said. I do apologize. I am more horrified because she said apparently this happened in December of last year. I was reading from the wrong notes pad. The other story time that I have is from a couple of years ago. She met this man in December of last year. This has only been a few months. This happened recently. Holy shit, girl, are you okay? Because I definitely thought you were the I thought it was the other story where it was been a couple of years. I'll tell you that one here in a second. But dear God, she said she freaked out. He made a bunch of excuses. You know, he was trying to say, oh, he didn't have any tissues, so he just like came into the... Once again, that's the fucking stupidest excuse ever. You know, when we say that we want a white Christmas, that's not what we meant. We don't mean jerk off into a fucking case for us to find. Like, oh my fucking God. She said she ran out of, you know, she ended up running out of the house after he was like arguing. She was like, yeah, I know, I've got to leave. She ended up just going home. She didn't go to the Comic-Con. She said that he did end up going to the Comic-Con because he had like posted some pictures where their local town has like a group chat for, not a group chat, but a Facebook group for that convention, which, I mean, my hometown does the same thing. It's like a tiny, where they have a tiny convention that I will be at, by the way. If you don't know, I'll be running panels there in October. But they had a little group, and she saw that he posted pictures in it. Yeah, fucking Christ. Are you okay, ma'am? Like I said, I thought you'd had 2 years to recover, but apparently it was the other story I was thinking of, and you just had this happen like 7 months. Are you okay? 7 months. It's only been 7 months since that trauma, girl. Please go tell me you've gotten some therapy. She said she has not been back in that store either. She has not stepped foot back in that store, and I don't fucking blame her. She said before she ended up blocking him, like, 'cause she blocked him a couple days later, the reason she didn't block him at first is she didn't want to, like, start anything, like, didn't want a big uproar, because at the time he was going to be at that con. She was thinking of going to that con later, hoping he wasn't going to be there. But then when she saw that he did, she ended up blocking him. She said over the span of those couple of days before she ended up blocking him, he was sending her message after message being like, I'm sorry. Oh, it's just, you know, every guy does it, and all these excuses. She said she sent me a fucking screenshot of this text message. He literally says that every guy does it. No, they don't. I have a massive game collection, okay? Massive game collection. If you've not seen the video, with me showing off everything, and there has not come in any of those. Okay, I've never had. There was a point where we had, because of the domestic violence situation, my friend, my wife, as I call her, don't worry, her man knows that I'm the real husband. He even jokes that. He's like, oh, Ribbon's your real husband. But anyways, there's a point where she was living with me after she had escaped a DV situation. And so I had 5 fucking boys in my house and my husband at that point. Like, all these people and all these men in my house, not a single one of them, they all are gamers. None of them tried to do nothing nasty with the fucking game cases. And the fact that Nick Jr., game, that's so fucking creepy. Because she said he had, like, other regular games there, too. So, you're telling me you're in the mood jerking goonin', and Nick Jr.'s the game that you felt was appropriate to jerk off into? You're fucking disgusting. And now, for those of you who are new, understand why I can't put full stories like this on TikTok. Because when I post this one on TikTok, I'm definitely going to have to trim it down. There's a lot of details that I cannot say on that app. I just paused to get a drink, and I have to read this comment to you guys. Oh my gosh. So I got a comment on the pheromone maxing. If you haven't seen my video, I break down like what pheromone maxing is, which, by the way, pheromone maxing is not a real fucking thing. It's just a thing that incels have made up and they use to not bathe. The plobs will be like, oh, I'm pheromone maxing. That's why I'm not bathing for months at a time. It's going to attract women, which is definitely not. But somebody fucking commented being like, as humans, we do produce pheromones. It does actually help. You're wrong. Okay, so technically speaking, yes, humans have pheromones, but they don't fucking work like the animals. And it's also not going to fucking attract anybody if you stink. So I just think it's funny that I still get comments on that old video. Like, I just got that one of people trying to defend not bathing. Just wash your fucking ass, man. All of your body, by the way, because apparently some people don't wash their legs and some people don't wash their feet. Like, ew. They're like, oh, but the water runs down on it. No, that does not count as washing. Wash your body. Wash your body. I posted a video of this girl singing that. I just want to know what goes through people's mind. I don't want to know. I don't want to know what goes through people's mind that do stuff like this. Like, the psychology worker in my brain wants to know, but like me as a person doesn't want to know. The next follower submission, oh my gosh, this one made me gag a little bit too. It's not quite as bad, but it is definitely fucking disgusting. Was from a GameStop employee herself who had a regular customer that was fucking nasty. She said it has been 2 years since she's worked there, and she still thinks of this dude. I apologize for the mix-up earlier. I wrote some little notes so I wouldn't forget anything. Because, like I said, I don't know how to do all that fancy. I don't have any of that fancy editing. So I literally just film all in one shot and just hit the pause button. So she said she worked at GameStop for about 1.5 years. It's been 2 years since this happened, and she still thinks of this nasty customer. She had this customer who would come in Monday through Friday. He worked at another store in the mall. She said he worked at a Lids, which I had to look that up because it sounded familiar, but I couldn't place it. Apparently they're a hat store. They sell hats. But this guy would come in Monday through Friday. He worked night shift. He worked weekends somewhere else because he would like talk to the employees and said he worked weekends somewhere else. But every single day he would come in. She was typically on night shift too. She said her days actually rotated, but other coworkers saw this too. So it wasn't just her. Other coworkers had to encounter this guy because when he'd go on break, every single time he would go on break for his evening shift, he would come into GameStop. She said she thinks he only bought something twice in the 1.5 years that she saw him. Like, she literally never rung this guy up. He never bought anything except for those 2 times. She said he bought something one time during Black Friday from her, and she said another employee said he bought something from her before too. She said he would come in though for that basically his entire break. She said he'd be in the store for about 20 minutes, so I guess he was probably getting like a 30-minute lunch break would be my assumption, and that, he's spending 20 minutes of it just looking at the same games over and over again. She said he didn't really talk that much. He would make like a little bit of small talk if you came over to him, but he wasn't, somebody that was very social. He just wanted to look at the games, which sounds harmless, right? That sounds harmless until you find out, oh God. So he had a habit. This man would come in and be looking at the games. And you know what his habit was? He would put his hands down the back of his fucking pants, clearly digging in his fucking ass. Like that, what does that SpongeBob mean? Digging your butt, twin, or something? I don't know. But like, he would apparently dig in his fucking ass, smell his fingers, and then suck on them afterwards. She saw him do this, like, almost every other time, sometimes every time he would come in. She saw this dude, literally had to watch this dude every single time she had an evening shift. And he would come in like clockwork, and he would dig in his fucking ass when he thought no one was looking, sniff his fingers, and then suck on them. She said he would always slightly look around because she said there was one spot in the store that to a customer looks like nobody else can see you, but to the employee could see, like they could always see him. And this motherfucker would walk around and he would like tighten, she said he would like pull his fingers together. So, oh God, how do I explain this in a non-creepy way? I recently made a joke video about the WNBA and the green dildo that was thrown on there, and in that video you can see there's like the only green toy I could find was like it's like a fisting toy or whatever, and it has his hands like scooped together. She said that's how he would have his fingers all scooped together, pointing out, and then he would just suck on them, walking around just sucking on his fingers. And he had no problem sucking on his fingers around people because she's pretty sure he thought that nobody saw what he had done before. They just thought he was a weirdo sucking on his fingers. But she did. Her and her coworkers saw this motherfucker fucking eating his own damn ass. The way I would have fucking thrown up on this man. If I have no physical gag reflex. And I'm not saying that as like a flex. I mean, I don't have a physical gag reflex. It has to do with my anatomy and surgery and all that shit. Right? I don't have a physical gag reflex. Like, I could shove whatever down my throat. But with smells and with like seeing somebody do something really gross, that's when I start gagging. Okay? That is, you know, I've talked about working in a trauma ER and how some of the GameStop stories, some of the stuff I saw on GameStop traumatized me more than the fucking trauma ER did. I would have fucking puked on this guy. I would have fucking, because ain't no fucking way. It's bad enough you're digging in your ass. It's bad enough that you're a grown man sucking on your finger. She said he was also, looked like he was in his mid-40s, but you're fucking eating your own shit. You are human centipeding your fucking self at that point. What the fuck? You know, maybe that's why she said he spent like 20 minutes in the store every time he was on break. And most, if you've ever worked retail, you know it's like a 30-minute break usually, unless you're working like a double or something. So maybe that's why he had so much time to spend in the GameStop instead of going to get food, because he was just eating his own fucking shit. What the hell? I honestly don't know how to I do not know how I would have reacted other than vomiting. I probably would have just fucking vomited. She said the worst part about the first time she saw him do it was she, you know, didn't look at him that closely. She said she started working there at the end of October, beginning of November. So she worked Black Friday, which was the first, you know, purchase she had from him. She had not seen him do this yet. Even though she was seeing him every day, she wasn't really paying attention to what he was doing. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that's just that guy that comes in here all the time. She didn't start looking at him until she accidentally saw him do it the first time. And she talks about how she is so grossed out because she remembers when they checked out, he had like, he had his hands all over the game case, well, because, you know, the actual game's behind the thing. By the way, for all the idiots that try to steal from GameStop, you're fucking stupid. Like, I cannot tell you how many times we would have cases go missing because people were trying to steal. And it's like, dude, we keep the games on the counter. It's just the case. But she said, like, when he handed it to her, she touched it, and now she, like, wonders if that had shit on it. She said it was really packed on, like, Black Friday, so she's really hoping that, you know, he hadn't had a chance to eat his own ass yet. I just want to know what kind of demon possesses you to make you do some shit like that, because ain't no fucking way. I thought the motherfuckers who, like, go to the bathroom and don't wash their hands after and then eat were bad enough. Nah, you ate your own ass! I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, but it's so fucking gross. Okay, we gotta take a break from the grossness and talk about a funny story that happened at the WNBA. If you've not seen the green dildo incident. So I don't even watch women's basketball or basketball a lot. Anyways, but it's basketball season coming up, and my son plays. I did play in middle school. I know people are always shocked by that because of how short I was, but I was super tall for my age at the time. I was 5'2" in 5th grade, and then I've never grown again. Like, I literally stopped growing at fucking 5th grade. Good news is I still have clothes I have a hoodie I've had since 5th grade, and any Osha one I still wear, and I steal my son's clothes all the time too. He's 9, and literally Me and him wear the exact same size shoe, and he is almost as tall as me. I make giants, apparently. I actually wanted him to get one of those fancy comfort hoodies, and I got one for him in a size kids large, and it fits me, and it's perfect. Everyone makes fun of my size, but joke's on them, because I got to get the cool fucking Minecraft and Nintendo throwback kids shoes because my feet are so small. They only made them in kid sizes, not adults. So fuck you. I can also fully fit in the dryer. Anyways, not the point. Point is, I don't really keep up with that stuff, but all of a sudden, I've been trying to watch some games that would help my son watch stuff and like get ready for the basketball season, when all the fucking sudden I see this video and it's like, oh my god, the green dildo happened again, and I'm like, the green dildo, what? And I look, and it's now happened twice. There's been 2 separate women's basketball games where they are in the middle of the game, and some fucking fan throws a big green dildo down onto the court in the middle of the game. There are so many clips of this you can find online. Like, oh my god, people reposting it. I just want to know, what the fuck? I thought maybe like, oh, is it because their team colors are green or something? No, they're doing it to like random teams. Just specifically, like Shrek dong bongin'. Like, what the fuck? I did make a funny, like, a skit where I'm like, I had Brett throw a random green adult toy at me while I'm in front of a basketball hoop. And I'm like, look, I'm trying out for the team. Do you think they're going to take me? Do you think I'm qualified? At the time of me recording this, they have not caught the person who's done this, or the people, because it was 2 separate games that happened at. But when they do, I need somebody to do an interview. I need the news to do an interview with them and just ask them, why specifically a green dildo? Why are we throwing green dildos in the middle of a fucking women's basketball game? I'm not gonna lie, I will be super pissed if they find out who it is and they're just like, oh, it was a random, I just did it. No, I need a backstory. I need you to have some fucking crazy convoluted shit that you came up with to why you threw specifically green dildos in the middle of a women's basketball game. Because usually when there's cases like this, there's always, like, the person who did it comes up with a crazy, like, they're like, I was abducted, the aliens told me to do it or something. I need that to be the case. I need to hear whatever funny story. There's too much bad shit going on in the world right now. I need a funny moment. It's either going to be some crazy guy, or it's going to be the one that looks like the most innocent person ever. Because I swear the most innocent looking motherfuckers always have the wildest shit going on. If you didn't see my video from earlier, this last week, I had a prime example of that. So a military spouse, here locally, was checking in on me after Princess had passed and everything. She's asking me these questions, just asking me how I'm doing or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I finally got to get myself out of the house, because I need to go and run out and get some Oxy. Now, I'm talking about OxyClean, because my son's in martial arts, and, if you don't use OxyClean stuff, those pants get stained so easy, those white pants. Now, I did not clarify that it was going to be OxyClean, because she's literally the chaplain assistant's wife, and I don't mean like, oh, her husband's on chaplain duty or anything like that, because like Brett's done that before, where even though he's in infantry, they put him as a chaplain assistant for a couple of years, because as a duty. No, this guy went into the army as a chaplain assistant. Like, that was his MOS that he chose. He wanted to be super religious and everything. She's like super modest and everything. It's one of the reasons why I was so shocked. I was so fucking shocked when what came out of her mouth, because I was actually hoping that she would be like, oh, it's cheaper here right now or something, or no, with the sales. No, she fucking responds and was like, oh my god, you have a hookup? I've been trying to find one since we PACS'd here. And I paused for a second and I realized, oh my god, she thinks I'm talking about pills. The nice church wife over here is over here talking about fucking doing drugs. And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm telling you, it's the most innocent looking motherfuckers that'll be in the wildest shit. I cannot tell you how many times when I teach kink education, kink safety and education, I have had the people come to these events, and places, and they have the most sweet, innocent, like, kind of, especially, there's a lot of teachers, that have, like, a sweet, innocent job. People think they're just, like, this innocent person that probably only does missionary to once a year to make a baby or something, No, they be the freakiest motherfuckers. I remember seeing this College Humor skit back when College Humor was good, before the buyout and everything, and it turned, like, ugh. But I remember seeing this skit, and it was like the 6 girls you'll date in college or whatever, and one of them is the church girl, and they're like, and then it shows her in the bedroom, and she's got all these like whips and chains, and they're like, there's nothing crazier than real repressed crazy. And if that ain't the truest shit ever. I remember, and when I was younger, so there is right across, it's like 3 or 4 streets down from my aunt's house, there is this private Catholic school. And when I would come to visit, I would sometimes hang out with those kids because my family thought, oh, they're good, like, Catholic, sweet girls, like they be, so they're not going to be anything crazy. Ain't no damn... Bro, those girls were into all kinds of shit. These teens out here fucking burning cigarettes and stuff on each other for fun. Like, doing fucking trading damn Adderalls and Ritalin and everything else. They'd be like, oh, you want them? No, I'm good. I actually have ADHD, so that's not going to get me high. But I'm also not interested in your pills. They would talk about how they also all had this rule where they'd only fuck in the ass because it meant that they were still pure. It meant that they thought if they only did anal, that meant they're still a virgin. Ma'am, that's not how that works. And they all did this. This wasn't like, oh, just one of them. They all had this fucking thought that they were just going around taking it up the ass all the time because they said it kept them pure for their wedding day. Ma'am, there ain't nothing pure about your fucking actions at all. There's even a song, because this is such a popular thing within Catholicism, there is even this song that, these 2 girls made, I can't think of their names, hold on. It says by Garfunkel and Oates. Oh gosh, the one girl plays in a few shows, but this is the song. I'll play you a quick clip. I will play you a quick clip of it.
Of high school with my purity ring. Unlike those other girls, I got my morals in check. It was
just wait for it.
Till I got a boyfriend, and pardon my French, but he's cute as
y'all ain't gonna believe this shit if you haven't heard this before.
To keep my hymen intact, and Jesus and I are tight. Never learned about the birds and bees. I was taught to keep an aspirin in between my knees, cause the Bible says premarital sex is wrong. But Jason says that guys can't wait that long. I don't want to lose him to someone who'll do him. I need to figure something out. Well, there's a loophole in the scripture that
it's called The Loophole if you want to look up the full song.
Without going to hell. It's my Hail Mary full of grace. In Jesus' name we go to fifth base. Thank you for making me holy, and thank you for giving me holes to choose from. And since I'm not a godless whore, they'll have to come in the back door. Therefore, fuck me in the ass, cause I love Jesus. The good Lord would want it that way.
Yeah, that's a gist of the 5-minute song. You can look it up on YouTube. It's called The Loophole, by Garfunkel and Oates. But that is such a common thing within Catholicism that there's songs that have been made about it. And it's so insane to think about, like, the fact that the logic that they have. Like, they have convinced themselves that if you just do it in the butt, that it doesn't count as premarital sex. Like, bro, it's reminds me of the fucking Mormons have this soaking thing. There's jokes about that all over the internet, but it is a real thing that they do, which is their version of what the Catholics do, is they have this idea that if you put it in and then you don't move, then it doesn't count, that God can't see you because you're not actually having sex because you're not moving. And they'll even have people, they'll be doing this thing called bed shaking. And what you do is, let's say you and a girl want to do something. You slide your dick in her, but then you don't move at all. But you have your buddy get under the bed and shake the bed so that you're not actually the one moving, but it's causing the friction. That's fucking insane. Like, and I've even seen Mormons when they're, like, doing that interview at that Mormon college who will talk about soaking, and this one guy was like, at that point, just fucking have sex. Like, you're already committing the sin or whatever. Like, he's like, at that point, you're just sinning already and just trying to, like, look for an excuse, blah, blah, blah. And I agree with him. I'm like, at that point, just fucking do it. Either do it or don't. Like, take your pick. But this, like, shit of people trying to find ways around it counting is so fucking weird. But that's the kind of shit that these people, like, the sweetest, nicest, I'm telling you, the sweetest, nicest, kindest person that you know is probably into some fucking crazy shit. They always are. They're always the one doing the wild shit. So, like I said, the dildo guy from the WNBA, he's either going to be some crazy guy who thinks that, like, it's talking about aliens or some shit, some crazy conspiracy theory, or it's going to be the sweetest looking church dude you've ever seen. I apologize if you heard a ding in the background. That was my phone going off and reminding me that inflation sucks. My wife is not, to be clear, not my, like, relationship with, I just call her my wife. She's pregnant, and I've been planning her baby shower, and Lord, the prices of fucking shit Oh, especially in the Austin area, because she works out of Austin. A lot of her coworkers are in Austin, so she wants to do it in Austin. Which I'm like, girl, you're the pregnant one that's going to be having to haul all this stuff back and forth to your house over an hour away. I'd be making them come to me, but we're doing it in Austin to make it easier for all of her friends. So I was looking at different places. Some of these places want insane amounts of fucking money. There's been so many that they don't list their prices, and then I find out their price. I'm like, no, I'm not paying $500 an hour for a room that can fit like 20 people for a baby shower. That's insane. What happened to like the rec center where it was like $50 or $20 an hour, if not $500? You do not want to know how much the teacher appreciation bag's worth this year, because if you don't know, I have like a whole couponing situation set up in my garage, and people will come get supplies, teachers, friends, neighborhood kids, anybody that needs something. There's not just school supplies, there's also soaps and toothpaste, and there's a pantry full of food and stuff. And I always at the meet the teacher night right before school starts, I show up with like these big reusable bags. I always get them a big reusable bag, so it's like good for something else too, and I stock it full of supplies that they ask for their room, and like for the kids that they don't have any that they don't bring, so there's like plenty of extra, and I always bring it to meet the teacher, especially because like there's no way my kindergartner is going to be like carrying this big heavy backpack full of everything that's on the list anyways. But I make that way they have plenty throughout the year. If they need anything else, I always tell them, like, if you need restock, let me know. I buy snacks for their snack stuff throughout the year too. But anyways, was going to do that, and oh my gosh, some of the prices of the shit, I was like, what the hell? I remember when this was 50 cents. Like, they would do the sales. I remember like Office Max used to have penny sales and stuff. If you bought like $5 worth of shit, you could get certain items for a penny and all that. None of that. There ain't none of that this year. Crowns are still only 25 cents a box, thankfully, like crowns and stuff. I mean, technically if I were to get like all of their school supplies and just what's on their list, it'd be like $25-$30, but I definitely spent more than that because I get all that extra stuff. Damn, I was looking at some of the prices, especially like lunchbox. Holy shit. Those little thermal cups, not like a full thermal, like a Stanley or nothing, but like the little ones you put like a little bit of mac and cheese and shit in. I spent $70 on just one of those. And that was the one that was on sale, and I'm like, dear God, this used to be like $6. Before I end this podcast, which I know it's still going to be a couple minutes early, I'm sorry, my brain is still not here from grief and stuff. Losing my childhood, like one of my closest childhood friends, and then a few months later losing my dog. My brain, I had her for 11 years. My brain is not here. But I have been sent and tagged in a lot of videos talking about anime getting banned in the US. So, first, calm down. It's not an actual total ban. So, it hasn't passed yet. But if it does pass, it's to put extra tariffs on anime. So, it's not going to be banned from being able to be streamed or anything like that. You'll still be able to watch it. But your Crunchyroll and all that stuff, the prices are going to go up. It's going to cost them more to export that here, and it's going to cost, studios like the one that's near me, Funimation up in Dallas. I've talked to a couple of friends that actually work with them, because I've got a couple of friends who are voice actors, and another one that I know works in that studio. They've been talking about like how this would affect them, and you're still going to get... you're still going to be able to watch anime and everything. The ban would be to make the tariffs a lot higher on it, and they'd be having to pay all this extra stuff, so it would cost of dubbing it and everything is going to cost of being able to stream it will go up. Sadly, the voice actors probably are going to, not get paid anything extra or anything from that, and their pay is probably going to be lower for projects, sadly. We were just talking about this, like how it's going to affect voice actors and stuff. But don't worry, it's not an actual, like, full-on ban. Like, there's so many people who are just panicking and making these videos, being like, oh, it's going to be completely banned, you won't be able to see it. And it's like, no, that's not how this ban, that's not the kind of ban that they're talking about. They're talking about the tariff ban, the whole making it extremely expensive. So, yeah, your Crunchyroll is probably going to be like $25 fucking a month, if you have Crunchyroll or anything like that. There's also going to be other streaming services that might stream anime, and they might start taking it off, so there's going to be less anime on things like Netflix or Hulu, because it's going to cost them so much, or they're going to increase their prices on that because of anime. I also wouldn't be surprised if they did like a separate, Netflix or Hulu or Paramount or HBO or any of the fucking mini streaming services out there, dear God. I almost pay as much as like it would just cost to have cable at this point for the streaming service, how many streaming services I have. But yeah, those I would not be surprised if one of them like doesn't off where For example, there's like HBO plus Showtime or whatever, like how it's premium. I feel like they might have like another premium just for anime at that point if it gets real bad. But it's not like you're not going to be able to access anime. Cons are going to be a lot more expensive. Vendors are going to be expensive. There's going to be a lot going on with that situation. But it's not a full-on ban. You're still going to be able to stream anime. You'll still be able to watch it even if it does get passed, which I'm just hoping it doesn't get passed in the first place. But at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if it did. Oh, and lastly, people were asking me where the missing episode went. I have no fucking idea. So 18 was apparently just privated by accident on YouTube because where it automatically privates it, and I was able to unprivate that, and everybody else had access to 18. But 19 has just disappeared off the face of the planet. That's why it goes 18, 20. Like, 19 has just fucking disappeared. I have no idea what happened to that episode. I'm going to try to find it. If not, I will remake it. That's also why a lot of people couldn't find episode 18 was because it was privated on YouTube where it automatically doesn't, and I forgot to unprivate it. Don't worry, I'm going to be staying up tonight until it fully loads once I distribute it on Podbean, and it sends it out to everywhere. It'll show it on YouTube, and I'll be able to make that public again so you guys can see this episode. If you are using YouTube instead of Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, I'm on basically all of them because Podbean sends it everywhere. But this is your reminder to not eat your own asshole. Don't come into PlayStation don't come into any games cases. That's fucking gross. Don't curb stop rats, and remember to wash your ass. I also have posted a new video that it looks like it's an ad, but it is actually, I use the ad feature so because TikTok will boost your videos for free if you're selling something on TikTok Shop. But this month my CF will be going to a domestic violence victim. Her name is Honeysuckle. You can go look at her page. Her and her baby escaped a piece of shit abuser, and he found them, and they're trying to get out of that situation. So all my CF, which I did not make that much CF this month because just I haven't had the time to make good quality videos. But I'm working on it. But we did make a few $100, and anything that goes from any of the sales from TikTok Shop will also be on there. Will also be going to her too. So if any of my videos show up on your FYP, I do appreciate if you just put me on silent and let it run while you're doing laundry or taking a shower or something. You can just put it on silent. That way it runs and can get that CF up. And if you would like to donate to her, her page is also linked. Remember, wash your ass, use sunscreen, and don't eat your own ass. What the that one's the one that's still bothering me. And I will see you guys on Thursday. As always, I'm a Kindle with Unchangeable Accessories for their pleasure.